welcome to 21st Century Talks. I'm Mark Arajanian, and I handle marketing for 21st Century. And today we have a guest that I guess needs no introduction. He's our rep for EERO. He reps Lutron, Yamaha for us. It's Chris Cowdrey with High Tech Network. Chris, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Couple things. So, EERO is the most synonymous name with mesh networking, so it's a problem solver for sure. We're also the first company to have launched Wi-Fi 6, and then last year Wi-Fi 6E, and this year the world's first Wi-Fi 7 solution with the Max 7, right? I personally, Mark, have the Pro 6Es in my house, which are the generation just behind this.
They're great.
Yeah, they're phenomenal, right? And then the other kind of Swiss Army knife we have here is the PoE 6 and PoE Gateway. So this is a Wi-Fi 6 device, not 6E, but it is a ceiling mount access point, which gives it a pretty competitive advantage in the space. So when you're doing a conventional takeover of a competitive project, these are easy to deploy on the ceiling. The EERO PoE Gateway doesn't have to be used, although we would encourage you to do so, because it has dual 10 gig in/outputs. So if you're in Chattanooga, as an example, and you got 10 gigabit fiber service, you can come in 10 gigs here, wire out to your local area network with 9.4, and then you have 8 PoE pooled ports of power that are 2.5 gig ports that connect to these. These can be stacked for multiples, so you can do more than 8, but most jobs I doubt you'll exceed more than 5 or 8.
So Chris, talk to me a little about EERO. What are the advantages to EERO?
Yeah, super easy. So they get access to EERO Pro tech support, right? That's an important distinction. Some competitive brands, as you know, have no tech support, right? So the fact that we have a tech support and one that is defined as these are for pros, I think is an important call out. Also, they get access to the EERO Pro Dashboard. As I go around, and I know you too, you talk to dealers, they're not largely aware that we have a management tool that today is a free service. And you can use this to remotely manage client systems from afar.
So what are the advantages to getting signed up as a Pro EERO dealer?
The Pro Dashboard gives you access to a number of different things. So in my case here, I can see the 3 EEROs that I have connected to this system. I'm actually probably one more than I need in the space that I have, but I did it for a specific reason, and that's because I needed to add some wireless connectivity to a printer that wasn't wireless. Interesting call out there too is that there's a misconception that we're only a mesh solution. That's not true. The PoE 6 has taught us that we can hardwire EEROs. In fact, all EEROs can be hardwired. They can run mesh or some mixture of the two for the best scenario for the client. You get to see some other things too, like the devices that are connected to this system. So I can see in my case, I've got 52 or so devices connected to the network. And within each of those, I see the name of the product, which radio they're on, meaning 2.4, 5, or 6, as you and I have the 6E. In fact, the only device in my entire house that rides in that lane organically is my wife's iPhone 15 Pro, so upgrade your phone. So anyway, I can see all those devices, the lanes that they're in, remotely manage them, see what their signal strength is like. I can do speed tests, so if a client calls and says, hey, my speed's not great, you can remotely log in and see a number of speed tests that have been taken over the course of the day, or run one right then and say, no, I think your speed's fine. You probably just need to close some apps and reboot your phone. Another important one that I like to use too is the topology map. It lets me see what things are connected to each of the various EEROs in the house, and if they're running in mesh, you can see the communication paths between those EEROs. I know you know that the EERO uses something called true mesh technology. We're not a hub and a spoke. So seeing this topology is interesting because over the course of the day or a week or a month, those pathways may change because it's always trying to get the data back to the primary EERO, the one that we technically call a gateway, in the fastest means possible. And if that means it has to change its communication protocol, it will do that to get you the best speed and best performance. And then lastly, you can see channel utilization by radio, 2.4, 5, and 6 gigahertz. How much noise, how much activity on those, just to sort of remotely troubleshoot and diagnose if ever you need to in a larger scale system.
So we talked about this a little bit before, but this is really why I wanted you to be here. What is the setup process for the Pro Dealer Dashboard? Just bring me through the entire process if you don't mind.
personally, as I've gone out and presented EERO to dealers, getting people excited about what our products can do is very easy, but I found that getting them to the finish line, meaning setting up that dashboard and getting a first system deployed, sometimes can be a little confusing, right? So in short, once they go to pro.eero.com, and I'm just going to pull up my app here so we can kind of talk to it. Okay, you're going to open the app. You've signed up as a pro by going to pro.eero.com. And then within that, you're going to deploy a system. And when I say deploy a system, that can be literally defined as a singular access point. So it doesn't have to be 5 or 8 access points. You could literally take a single Pro 6E to your parents' house, which is what I did, deploy that system with my credentials, verify the email address. This is an important call out. You must verify the email address, then that dashboard will go live. Now, that initial system deployment, that whole thing that we just described, typically takes about 24 hours, okay?
Right.
So I log in with the app, I click on, and you can see this here, new to EERO, continue with email or phone,
Right.
and it's gonna do a quick 2-factor authentication to your phone number,
After
and then you
already-
deploy the
right,
system,
right.
and then you'll get the email confirmation to
Right.
confirm.
Right.
Once that happens, within 24 hours, the dashboard is live, and every system you deploy thereafter using those credentials will show up on your dashboard.
It's just, you know, getting yourself set up, getting that first EERO
Mission critical.
So once that's
Yep.
done, you're ready to go.
Ready to go. Because otherwise, and this happens a lot, and I know it does to you too, you know, they'll try to log onto the dashboard and it'll
Right.
say invalid email address
Right.
or user not found. That's because they didn't take that final step
Right.
to deploy that system and verify that email address.
Hey, Chris, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it. We'll talk soon.